Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on, I can't believe you. A woman brightens up facial flaws with cosmetics, figure flaws with clothes, and mental flaws with marriage to a smart man. He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. The true man wants two things: danger and play. For that reason, he wants women as the most dangerous plaything. The lonely one offers his hand too quickly to whomever he encounters. Hope, in reality, is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man. The snake which cannot cast its skin has to die, as well as the minds which are prevented from changing their opinions. They cease to be minds. To feel good in a marriage means to feel good with your spouse's shortcomings. No one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life. No one but yourself alone. The unselective knowledge drive resembles the indiscriminate sexual drive, signs of vulgarity. Virtue is the health of the soul. You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. The surest way to corrupt a youth is to instruct him to hold in higher esteem those who think alike than those who think differently. Ultimately, it is the desire, not the desired, that we love. Perhaps I know best why it is man alone who laughs. He alone suffers so deeply that he had to invent laughter. He that feeds the hungry refreshes his own soul, says wisdom. A thought, even a possibility, can shatter and transform us. To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. Those who inflate themselves are cursed when pricked by a small pin to burst. It is nobler to declare oneself wrong than to insist on being right, especially when one is right. Whoever is not capable of either love or friendship most certainly makes his bet on marriage. You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame. How could you rise anew if you have not first become ashes? Is life not 1,000 times too short for us to bore ourselves? He who fights monsters should take care lest he thereby become a monster. To pay dearly for immortality, one has to die several times while still alive. The lack of young men is that they think they are more happy or unhappy than they really are. I was in darkness, but I took 3 steps and found myself in paradise. The first step was a good thought, the second a good word, and the third a good deed. The higher man is distinguished from the lower by his fearlessness and his readiness to challenge misfortune. The strength of a person's spirit would then be measured by how much truth he could tolerate, or more precisely, to what extent he needs to have it diluted, disguised, sweetened, muted, and falsified. The most spiritual people experience by far the most painful tragedies, but this is precisely why they honor life. because it provides them with their greatest adversities. He who cannot put his thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of dispute. Many are stubborn in pursuit of the path they have chosen, few in pursuit of the goal. I cannot believe in a God who wants to be praised all the time. We stop too often at knowing the good without doing it because we also know the better, but cannot do it. Sensuality often forces the growth of love too much, so that its roots remain weak and are easily torn up. He who obeys does not listen to himself. He who cannot obey himself will be commanded. That is the nature of living creatures. Without music, life would be an error. What was silent in the Father speaks in the Son, and often I found in the Son the unveiled secret of the Father. The fewer friends a person has, the more he has the time to be alone with himself, and the happier they feel in the mountains. The shortest way is from peak to peak, but for that route thou must have long legs. Proverbs should be peaks, and those spoken to should be big and tall. I noticed that autumn is more the season of the soul than of nature. When we have to change our mind about a person, we hold the inconvenience he causes us very much against him. It's risky to get married after 40 because the risk of making such a decision under the influence of loneliness is very high. The secret of reaping the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment from life is to live dangerously. Be very careful if you are praised. It means that you can only be sure that you are not on your true path yet, but on someone else's. To become what one is, one must not have the faintest notion of what one is. I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and the impossible. To some people, you may give not your hand, but only a slap with the paw, and I would that your paw might also have claws. The only thing that makes a marriage unhappy is not a lack of love, it's the lack of friendship. To speak about oneself not at all is a very refined form of hypocrisy. Under peaceful conditions, the militant man attacks himself. Is not wounded vanity the mother of all tragedies? And when you gaze long enough into the abyss will gaze back into you. The advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time. What is great in humans is that it is a bridge and not a goal. What can be loved in humans is that it is a going over and going under. He who fights with monsters might take care lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze for long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. To predict the behavior of ordinary people in advance, you only have to assume that they will always try to escape a disagreeable situation with the smallest possible expenditure of intelligence. The tree that would grow to heaven must send its roots to hell. We should consider every day lost on which we have not danced at least once. How little it takes to make us happy, the sound of a bagpipe. Without music, life would be a mistake. Love is blind. Friendship closes its eyes. One can promise actions, but not feelings, for the latter are involuntary. He who promises to love forever or hate forever, or be forever faithful to someone, is promising something that is not in his power. Anyone who has declared someone else to be an idiot or a bad apple is annoyed when it turns out in the end that he isn't. There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. In loneliness, the lonely one eats himself. In a crowd, the many eat him. Now choose. One repays a teacher badly if one always remains nothing but a pupil. I was in darkness, but I took 3 steps and found myself in paradise. The first step was a good thought, the second a good word, and the third a good deed. I'm not upset that you lied to me. I'm upset that from now on I can't believe you. Man is the only animal that must be encouraged to live. In individuals, insanity is rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. The demand to be loved is the greatest of all arrogant presumptions. A politician divides mankind into 2 classes, tools and enemies. There are no facts, only interpretations. We have art so that we shall not die of reality. There are 2 different types of people in the world: those who want to know and those who want to believe. The world is beautiful, but has a disease called man. He who climbs upon the highest mountains laughs at all tragedies, real or imaginary. One ought to hold on to one's heart, for if one lets it go, one soon loses control of the head too. Convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies. Is it better to outmonster the monster or to be quietly devoured? It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. The true man wants 2 things: danger and play. For that reason, he wants woman as the most dangerous plaything. They muddy the water to make it seem deep. No price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself. The most common lie is that which one lies to himself. Lying to others is relatively an exception. And those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who couldn't hear the music. If a woman wants sex, she will always get it. Thoughts are the shadows of our feelings, always darker, emptier, and simpler. There will always be rocks in the road ahead of us. They will be stumbling blocks or stepping stones. It all depends on how you use them. When marrying, ask yourself this question: do you believe that you will be able to converse well with this person into your old age? Everything else in marriage is transitory. People who live in an age of corruption are witty and slanderous. They know that there are other kinds of murder than by dagger or assault. They also know that whatever is well said is believed. What is great in man is that he is a bridge and not a goal. It is hard enough to remember my opinions without also remembering my reasons for them. Invisible threads are the strongest ties. No one can construct for you the bridge upon which precisely you must cross the stream of life. No one but you yourself alone. Which quote did you like the most? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on the next video.